Hello everyone, welcome to another video. Today I'm going to be showing you how to set up your very own whiteworm culture. This goes for regular whiteworms or warm whiteworms, which are the ones that I'm working with in this video. The only difference between the two are that warm whiteworms are adjusted to warmer temperatures and regular whiteworms typically stay at cooler temperatures. So today I'm going to be setting up this size container. You can use a small container, something this big, or something big like a tote or something. First step is to cut a hole in the lid of your container, cut a hole in it, and then put a breathable material on top of that. I use shop towels, which are pretty much paper towels. They're just heavy duty. And then also you want to tape the perimeter of your breathable material, which I just use some tape, put it along the edge so then you get sufficient airflow. And then also for your medium, which is what the worms live in, the substrate, you can use peat moss, which tends to not hold moisture as well. You can use organic potting soil, or you can use what I use, which is organic coconut fibers. PetSmart or Petco sells them in bricks, and they're super cheap, so they're just a nice dirt that you can use all around. Like most of the time, the store closest to us has organic potting soil in the summertime, but not always in the wintertime, because it's kind of a seasonal thing, I guess. So that's why I like organic coconut fibers, because they're available all the time. It's just a little bit of a further drive, but eventually we'll go to Petco or PetSmart, and I get them when I go there. And I think it's like $10 or $11 for 3 bricks. And if you have a culture this size or this size, then 3 bricks will last you a while. They also sell like individual bricks. So in my case, I'm using about a half a brick that I put in some water and let it expand, because I just filmed a video of me reculturing my grindleworm culture. So I was already working with the organic coconut fibers. That's why I have my gloves on. And I have a whiteworm culture right now. I'm going to go grab that. Here is my whiteworm culture right now. And the bread is a little bit moldy, but that's okay. I see that they actually eat the bread as long as you don't let it go too long. I'm actually going to take the bread out right now. You can feed dog food to your whiteworms. You can also feed fish flakes, just like you feed grindleworms. I feed bread with yeast and plain yogurt, because that just gives them maximum reproduction, which is what I need because we have a bunch of fish. So I'm just going to take the moldy bread out real quick. And throw it out. And you can see that there's a ton of whiteworms in there. But they don't have a whole lot of dirt for the amount of worms that are in there, so I'm going to be adding some fresh dirt. So you want your coconut fibers, I get this question a lot, of how moist to make them. And there's no like specific measurement. You just like, if you squeeze it, you only want to get like a couple drops out of there. So what I like to do to make sure that's the perfect consistency is to take it, squeeze it a little bit, and then break it apart. Because grindleworms, I normally pack down the soil for them, but for these whiteworms, you want the soil very loose. And I keep referencing grindleworms because whiteworms are very, very similar to them. They're just like a little bit bigger, and if you want maximum reproduction, you can feed them bread with yeast and yogurt, but you can feed them the same thing as you feed your grindleworms. So here's a good amount of dirt. I'm going to take this little scoop here. I'm going to clean it afterwards. I'm going to take a big scoop of worms. I don't know if the camera will focus, but you see that there's a bunch of worms in there. I'll put it in my hand. I'm going to take about 2 scoops because this is a very heavily seasoned culture, if you will. And then now that I have this big scoop of white worms in my hand, you can see that the white worm substrate that I have in my hand is a lot darker than the coconut fibers. That's because I think these are in like a sort of compost or soil. I don't know. I've had white worms for a while, but I bought a really, really big culture, so I could set up a really, really big culture, if you will. And I don't know exactly what they're kept in. But those are some nice white worms. I'm going to spray the culture down. And then later I'll come down and feed some, and then I'll like make up some bread yeast and yogurt and put them, put like 1 or 2 slices right in the middle here. And then I'll put the lid on. And then in a month, I'll change some of the dirt. But right now, this culture is good to go until I bring the food down later. And you can sprinkle some fish flakes on the top and then spray it down. Or you can do dog food that's soaked in water. As long as the food is moist, then it works. If the food's very dry, then it tends to suck the moisture out of the worms, and then they die. So, if you want to keep your worms nice and healthy, then I would not do that. So, if I dig around in here a little bit, you can see that there's tons of worms. White worms are really, really great for your fish. You can feed them, like, if you have enough guppies in a tank, they'll tear apart your white worms. Larger fish, like discus or African cichlids, they'll love them. Betas love them. If you're familiar with blackworms, anything that you'd feed blackworms to, you can feed white worms to. I like to think white worms are a slightly bigger grindleworm, and they're like the terrestrial version of aquatic blackworms, if that gives you an idea. Because I know a lot of people might not be familiar with grindleworms, or they might know about blackworms instead, because blackworms tend to be one of the most popular foods, live foods for fish, along with baby brine shrimp, live baby brine shrimp. Those tend to be the 2 most common ones. But you could always do some research on them. So I got my coconut fibers in, and I'm just going to try and stir them around. Not too harsh. You want to be gentle with your worms. Don't want to break them or anything. See how many there are just in my hand? I like to feed bread every 2 to 4 days. I like to replace it every so often. But if you have any questions, please let me know. You can culture white worms in really small containers or larger containers, like this is a small tote. And I see people culture them in like large totes. So if you have any questions, you can email me. There's a link in the description to a link tree, and it has my email, my Instagram, my TikTok, my Twitch, all of my links, all of my family's links, and our Gekyo store, where I sell a lot of my worms, and we sell a lot of our fish. If you would like to check that out, you can, but you don't have to. But my email should be in that link tree link in the description. So you can email me if you have any questions, or you can comment them down below. And if you have any video ideas, then you're more than welcome to comment them down below as well. So I hope that helped you, and I hope you all have a great day. Thank you so much for watching this video. Bye, everyone.